Hang on. Let's continue. Well, I have already told you that in case of the goods with negative utility, negative externality, I'm sorry, the social cost of the product of good is higher than the private costs. Well, people because it degrades the environment, it creates cost. For example, this coffee will create cost for us, and that cost might be healthcare cost in form of healthcare costs, in the form of I don't know. Well, we need, socially you might need to clean the garbage. That might be a cost. Well, there might be other forms of cost. For example, I mean, the environment, the forests might be lost as a result of the garbage I create, and as a result, natural resources might degrade, and um, goods that are made from those natural resources might be more expensive. So those costs can be very much monetary costs as well as this utility. So, however, individually, I will just care, since I am subsetting, for the individual private costs I will pay for this. And other types of costs, since they are shared, from my perspective, the coffee I buy have a very small, very limited effect on the environment. And I also don't care how the other people's what other people buy. So since I don't care for the costs, social cost, but only private cost, the actual P I put here will be smaller, but at social level, P here will be larger. So since at social level this P is larger, at social level, marginal utility I got from this coffee, or people in general on average get from this coffee, divided by the price will be smaller than the marginal utility people get from other products divided by the price. So last dollar spent for goods with negative externalities give people less utility, less marginal utility at social level when we take into account externalities, compared with the last dollar spent on goods without externalities. So the goods with negative externalities are overconsumed. How can we solve this? We might make people to pay the difference between the social cost and private cost. So a tax can be basically put on the goods with negative externalities, which might be difference between the social cost and the private costs, and maybe that tax might even be used to pay for the social costs. I mean, for example, restore the forest. But even if, independent of what the money is used for, since now the cost of this coffee is increased, people will also take into account the social cost, since monetarily it is added artificially to the price, and they will decrease the consumption of the coffee in that case to the level that, again, marginal utility of that coffee divided by the price, or the last dollar spent for the coffee will give at social level, basically, will give to people in general same amount of utility compared with last dollar spent for other goods without negative externality. So basically, what we do is we kind of correct the price mechanism. I mean, that's the suggested solution, basically, in mainstream economics for the goods with negative externality. If something provides positive externality, part of the price should be paid, so that the society pays for the benefit it gets from that consumption to the person who buys that product. If the good creates negative externality, now society takes the additional cost that product creates for them. In each case, we are not anymore. We don't have anymore this uncoordinated consumers who are making their own choices based on their individual preferences, creating the most efficient result anymore. Now we need a central authority which should calculate the social cost or additional social benefit and decide on the subsidy or the taxes. And you need that central authority, or at least coordination between people. For example, if we are living in an apartment, in that case, the person who smokes, for example, might pay for the others. But in that case, we don't have an organization. But at least we need a coordination. People should come together and decide on the social cost of smoking on the people who don't smoke. So now we cannot get best potential result without social coordination. We need social coordination for a more efficient result, even if we don't take into account the production. We are just in the realm of consumption. So now public goods. Public goods makes things a little more messy. So I will just describe the situation and describe why it is not efficient when you have the market is not efficient when you have a public good. But I won't describe you potential solutions. We can look to it and we can discuss it privately. I can tell you actually what the suggested solution is, but it is too complex for this course. So in this course, I will just set the problem, not describe the solution. So I have already told you private goods were rival, which means if one person consumes, the other person cannot consume it, and excludable. Public goods are just the opposite. They are non-rival and non-excludable. So actually, by taking into account rival and excludable, you have this kind of a matrix. If something is rival and excludable, you can prevent someone consume it, and it is rival, which means actually the one person consuming it will reduce other person's ability to consume it. Then you have private goods. Non-rival goods, the goods that everyone can consume, for example, a theater. If I watch theater, that doesn't decrease the amount of theater other person can watch, but we can pretty much prevent other people watching theater by putting a wall around us. Those goods are called natural monopoly, and sometimes it's also called club goods. If you have a rival good that people can consume, but it is non-excludable like air, it's a common resource. And then we have non-rival and non-excludable goods, which are public goods. We will just look to the public goods, although I briefly have a part where I described I don't have. I have set it. I have a problem. I have a part with commons, but I'll leave it to you. I won't go into it. I will just describe public goods because that's the most interesting case. So what happens if we have public goods? Now, in case of public goods, the good can be consumed by everyone. An example, light. Let's say we are living in the house together, or we are living in the city together. We put lights into the house. The light I buy, the lamp I buy, will create light for you also. And when I open the lamp, the light I get doesn't decrease the light you got. Extreme, except maybe very extreme cases. I mean, as long as it is not a desk lamp, but a lamp that is, for example, on the ceiling. So, what happens in that case if we have M? If you have that kind of a good, if the good doesn't, the good will, the good consumed by someone doesn't decrease. When the good consumed by someone, it doesn't decrease the good consumed by another person. If I buy a lamp to my house, except my private room to the living room, that increase the amount of light my roommate also get, or to the city, that increase also the light my fellow citizens get. So it will create this kind of a situation. Well, first, assume this is the case. Again, let's assume this is the demand for different lights. Let's say the amount of light which we can buy by buying lamps. It might be extreme, but let's assume it's possible to get 100 or 120 lamps. So if the price is 0, Yorgo prefers to have 100 lamps. Channy will prefer to get 120 lamps. If the price is 1, Yorgo is preferring to get 90 lamps. The Channy is preferring to get 108 lamps. And it goes down like this. This is the Channy's demand, this is the Yorgo's demand. What will happen in this case? Well, Channy will pay whole price of the public good. In this case, the only buyer will be Channy. Yorgo will become free rider. Channy will buy the product. Yorgo will consume the product that is the good that is bought by Channy. You might say this is not a good situation. I mean, for Yorgo or Channy. I mean, for Yorgo it might be a good situation because he's a free rider. For Channy it's a bad situation. It's not. You might say it is not fair, but beyond fairness, it is also not optimal. Even at the point when we are left in the market economic system, we might actually increase the utility of Yorgo and Channy to a higher point if we had a coordination between them. Well, note that this outcome only exists. The outcome we are describing here is the outcome when both of them are self-centered and basically they act in an uncoordinated way, each considering his or her own consumption, utility level, and nothing else. They are self-centric. So, how can I explain the case here? I can explain the case in this way. Let's say the price is $5. For the $5, Channy will buy 60 lamps. Yorgo would buy 50 units of lamps. Then they know, let's assume that they know each other. And they won't cheat each other, I mean, also. But the point is, when Channy already buys 60 lamps, Yorgo is able to consume those 60 lamps. And when the price is $5, for him, it's not worth to buy more than 60 lamps. Well, of course, if the price is 0, he prefers 100 lamps, which means basically, if he can freely get this extra 10 lamps, it's good for Yorgo. But when the price is 5, well, for him, paying $5 and buying 1 lamp is not worth when already 60 lamps are available in the apartment. So basically, the fact that Channy is buying 60 lamps, more lamps than Yorgo, means that Yorgo doesn't need to buy any lamps because he can consume all the lamps bought by Channy already. So let's talk more on this in the next part. See you in the next part.